This week in the news, Windrose takes off in the first 48 hours, Dawnwalker director roasts AAA games, Ashes of Creation finances may have been outed, and more on this week's Old Man Rages at the News. Before we get the show on the road, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content. And we're starting this week with some updates on past stories. Now, remember the Steam GPT assist we covered last week? Yeah, someone correctly called that out, that it's a summarizer of personal accounts so employees can have an easier time processing tickets. Looking further into it, Ars Technica claims that Steam GPT could be an AI tool to streamline internal evaluations. And for those who don't know Ars Technica, it's basically IGN, but does a bit of everything in the tech world and internet stuff as well. Now, the things they say make sense. Yeah, I can see this being something that can streamline internal evaluations and just pops up a summary. Alright, this guy has done so many tickets worth for this and this and this. But ultimately, I can't code for shit. I suggest you do your own research. Now, another update is the Rockstar hack. Now I understand why Rockstar did nothing. All of the data that the hackers got only reveals why they can afford to delay GTA 6 for so long. Now, what am I talking about? Well, the hackers revealed that during the period of September 2025 to April 2026, GTA Online made a weekly revenue of over $9 million. Yeah, $9 million. Let that sink in. Shark Cards made an average revenue of $8 million per week, while GTA Plus memberships made $2 million per week. Most of the money came from the PlayStation community, followed by the Xbox, and then PC at last place. And this is one of the statistics I'm happy PC is in last place. Now, best part of this, or the sad part, depending on how you look at it, is the fact that someone spent $1 million on Shark Cards in a singular purchase. The exact amount is $1,030,926. Yeah, all that money in a single purchase for a fucking microtransaction. Let me guess, this was most likely an oil prince or someone from Saudi Arabia that has more money than they know what to do with them. Well, if we hear another delay on GTA 6's end, we'll know why. Jesus Christ, $9 million in weekly revenue. Now, the next story is something I want to cover because it's, well, a situation that will affect gaming journalism if it becomes a widespread trend. And let me preface this with, it's gonna be bad. Apparently, news outlets are blocking the Wayback Machine from archiving their pages. This is because they are concerned with AI companies abusing fair use policies and training their models on snapshots of old articles. Wired reported that 23 major publications currently block ArchiveBot, which is Internet Archive's commonly used crawler. Well, frankly, I don't believe this one bit because, well, AI can just easily scrape their live pages. Why go through the Wayback Machine? Hell, even Reddit pointed this out. And ultimately, this is an excuse which allows them to delete and edit articles without people knowing or comparing older versions of the page. Hell, this is one of the few times I can get behind journalists, because Joey Morales, the person who wrote the article, even clearly stated it, and I quote, "We must rely on online archiving services like Wayback Machine to serve as the modern historical record." Now, you might be wondering, why is this important? Alright, let's go full Bob Ross here and let me paint you a picture. Picture an article from The Gamer. Yeah, I know, we're starting off grim here, but bear with it. Now, picture that article trashing an indie game dev using false accusations, and after the dev attempts to rebuke them, and people start to notice that there is something fishy going on with the article, They just swap it out for something completely different. Knowing the gamer, it might be just AI generated slop, but that's just speculation. And now, the article has nothing to do with what the dev criticizes them about, and what gamers are calling out. They can feign ignorance, or flat out harassment, because they can use the excuse of edited pictures or false pictures if you take a picture of the article. I think you get where I'm going, right? They're basically allowing themselves to use the victim card here in this case, which is bad for everybody else except the outlet that does it. Well, at least we have manual archiving still, unless that bricks. Alright, now for games. Specifically Fairgames and its preparation to enter the extraction market. With our creators being around, I don't think this one will be sticking around for a long time. Don't just take my word for it. Even the article pointed out that it was revealed in 2023 and the studio could not find the fun factor. And just between you and me, if you struggle to make a game fun, then you shouldn't make a game in the first place. Period. No ifs, no buts. If you can't do the basics, then you shouldn't waste people's time and effort. Hell, even Insider Gaming rubbed salt in the wound twice by writing, and I quote, "Reports and rumors of the game throughout its development have said that playtesters found the game, quote, not fun, which Insider Gaming understands has been a persistent problem throughout the game's development. Mind you, this game will also be free to play and rely on in-game monetization to fund future development and cover its costs." Where have I heard that before? And in some good news, Windrose managed to sell 500,000 copies in 48 hours. Hell yeah, with the game even managing to reach 183,000 peak players as of recording. Still, that doesn't stop PC gamers, quote-unquote journalists, from shitting on the game with this gem of a title. After 4 hours of pirate survival in Windrose, I'm reinstalling Sea of Thieves. Well, as someone who has almost 22 hours in the game, I'm gonna say you don't need to announce that you love slop. Hell, you can tell he gave up since he wrote, "I miss one parry and I die immediately, respawn back in my crude beachside hut." Then he followed up by saying he struggled more. Oh, brother. I mean, play around with the settings. We all know that it's overtuned as hell at the moment. And it has a few other issues aside from overtuning. But to have the goal of advertising Sea of Thieves after bashing the game is, well, it's a bold strategy, let's put it like that. Now, I was half expecting this article just start bashing the developers for the game's networking issues in multiplayer, but they didn't do that. And yes, there are networking issues with the multiplayer. The devs are actually working on getting those fixed as we speak. Well, prior to the weekend, they pushed out a patch that put some fixes in, so who knows what next week brings. In other news, Pete Hines left Bethesda because he didn't want to watch it being damaged and abused. Pete Henson sat down for an interview with Fireside Chat Gaming, covering a range of topics from his early days at Bethesda. He also shared his final months at Bethesda, and to quote him, "I was staying there because this place still needs me. I just hit a point of, yes, it needs me, and I'm powerless to do what I think needs to be done to run this place properly, to protect these people, to maintain what we worked so hard to create, which is an incredibly efficient, well-run video game developer and publisher. And when I was unable to do what I thought my job should involve in continuing to have that place be, you know, if not the most efficient publisher in the game industry. It was way the fuck up there. And when I couldn't protect it, and I saw how it was getting damaged and broken apart, and frankly, mistreated, abused, whatever word you want to use. I said, I'm not going to sit here and watch this happen right in front of me. Well, good news, dude. All of that did not stop Todd from launching Starfield on PlayStation 5, and it went as well as every Bethesda game release does. It crashed and burned. Across both PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, users mentioned the game crashing during basic actions like landing on a planet, exploring, and even loading save files. Hell, I'm not even surprised that this led to people demanding refunds to the PlayStation Store. So, PlayStation users, how does it feel to be a beta tester after a beta tester? Now, if you want to read more into this, and yes, I know it's a bit out there to put a Reddit post as further reading, but let me put it like that. People raging about technical issues that common for Bethesda games at this point, sadly, is fun to read, even if it comes from Reddit. And in some good news, Hazelight Studios achieved a total of 50 million sales across all of their games. Yes, I know I'm late to the party with this one. Last week was a bit of a Hail Mary, let's put it like that. Regardless, if you don't know Hazelight Studios, it's responsible for It Takes Two and Split Fiction. Now, all of this information came from their X account where they stated how much their games sold. A Way Out sold 30 million copies, It Takes Two sold 30 million, and Split Fiction sold 7 million, for a total of 50 million sales across all three games. Talk about big numbers. Moving on, the Blood of Dawnwalker's director roasts AAA games. Now, to be more precise, Konrad Tomaszewski, I'm most likely butchering it, said to the Game Business, problem in this industry sometimes is that people opening companies are thinking about how to make money. This is a really cold approach for games. You cannot create art like this. Opening a new company to do exactly the same thing we did in the past is a problem because we'll not feel that we're evolving or developing ourselves. It was really important for us as artists. We want to push the boundaries of AAA RPGs by adding some risky stuff, which gives you more immersion, more emotion, and a different feel when you play. Yeah, you might want to push boundaries and make AAA games a better experience, but the problem is that the big boys are far too up their asses to realize that the games are meant to be enjoyed, and that's what gets them profits. He also pointed out examples like Clair Obscure and Crimson Desert that deliver something fresh, even saying that it delivers the feeling of experiencing what it's like to play a game in the 90s. When he was asked if he was comfortable with the game being compared to his previous RPG, aka The Witcher 3, his response was, "Really comfortable. I feel really confident about our game." Talk about confidence in your work. In other news, Valve's Proton 11 is now in beta. The reason why this matters is because it has a version of ARM64 support strapped to it. You might be wondering why this matters. Well, because the Steam Frame, Valve's new VR headset, uses ARM Cortex CPU cores, allowing it to run games much better since it uses Linux as an operating system. Coincidentally, that made a bunch of games playable for Linux as a cherry on top, and from what I understood from digging through the technical mumbo-jumbo, this also means that your Switch can finally be useful and have a Steam OS running on it. Yes, I included this story into the video just to make that joke. And in a pleasant surprise, some classic Warhammer games are now available on Steam. The publisher Snag partnered with Games Workshop and other developers to create the Warhammer Classic label to restore more than 20 Warhammer video games for PC release. Each title has been updated for compatibility with modern systems, and this is the list of games returning. Sadly, not everything is good on that front. Disney decided to delist more than 15 games on Steam, including some classic Star Wars titles. This isn't the first time they did that, since in January they delisted 14 games, and now with the 15 being delisted, that number goes to 29. There was no warning announcement or explanation, neither from Disney nor from Valve. Now, these games aren't exactly known for high quality or anything, but still, it's weird to just delist them. Well, I mean, with the exception of Dark Force, since that got remastered a couple of years ago, but the rest doesn't exactly make sense. Now, this article points out that titles could return later due to renewed licenses or update agreements, but ultimately, there's no guarantee that they will ever return. In other news, EVE Online introduced a new player system. Hold up, you're telling me people still play EVE Online? Wait, hold up, you're telling me new players are joining EVE Online? Anyways, for some context, currently, all the new players are distributed across different systems, meaning if you want to play with a friend and both of you choose a different empire/school, it would put you a galaxy distance apart. Now, that's the current system. The new system that is supposed to be implemented in the summer puts all the new players in a new starting system, Exordium, which contains new starter and career agent systems with a single 53 system region. The region is managed by Concord with assistance from Air and is connected to Special Empire Embassy Constellation, allowing all new players to basically start in the game system. There's also a primary hub system that is within reach of all other systems in the region. And in the new starter space, they are completely protected from PvP. This region isn't just locked to new players only, since mentors can also visit. Good. Now, can they teach the new players how to work an Excel spreadsheet is a different question altogether. Moving on, Hytale Studios confirmed that it's seeking legal actions against a new Switch game that blatantly misleads potential customers into thinking they're purchasing Hytale. To give you an idea how shameless it is, the left image is the game, and the right image is a knockoff on the Switch store. Simon did publicly confirm it's being handled by the legal team, so, shit's getting serious. Now, this isn't the first time for the offender Rovinainen, who copied Hypixel, as he also made Mega Battle Arena that copied Mage Arena and Coin Pit that copied Clover Pit. Well, this has me thinking, how are they allowed to still post games on the Switch store when it's blatant copyright infringement? Then again, I remember this is Craptendo's store, and this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to blatant ripoffs and slop that's gathered there. I remember a time when Nintendo used to be quality. Those were the good old days. And to wrap up the week with something I thought I was done with for a while, but, well, apparently, Ashes of Creation said no. In what I could describe as an insane company expense, Nefas QS claims to have the entire Ashes of Creation ledger and went over it. Oh god, looking at it is wild. Nefas QS alleged that the CEO spent over $20,000 on DoorDash, over $48,500 on antiques, $21,000 for a personal chef, over $8,700 on plants. Plants? Dropping over $8,000 on plants is wild. What are you importing? Something from the other side of the world? But anyways, I digress. Over $15,000 on movie theater tickets, and over $595,000 on Amazon deliveries. What was he ordering? An entire warehouse? He also alleged another $21,000 on Magic the Gathering cards. I can see the cost at least for the cards. $2,200 on hot dogs. Alright, I can see that as well. I mean, let's say they had a few company-funded lunches and they ordered hot dogs, or the company gave free hot dogs to the employees to motivate them or improve morale. Yeah, I can see that happening, but still, weird. And allegedly, $81,000 was provided to Gore Oil, a company that owns Sheriff and Moore's $4.9 million mansion in San Diego. Now, the CEO of Ashes of Creation responded to that claim, and I like how IGN listed everything just as a reminder of how wild those alleged spendings are. The CEO posted an 11-page document claiming that it's flood of speculations, misinformation, and coordinated attacks. He called for fans to dismiss the alleged lies and insisted that it's completely false and already under judicial review. Now, I'll be honest here, guys. I value my own sanity and time, so I'll only go over a few bits and pieces. You can read the whole thing if you want. It's gonna be in the sources. Now, to quote what's in the document, I ask that you take a moment to read today's court filings. In them, I have included more than 45 exhibits consisting of texts, emails, internal communications, and witness testimonies from 6 individuals with first-hand knowledge of the events as they unfolded. I understand that creators can be easier to consume and more entertaining to watch, but some are chasing headlines and clicks, not accuracy, context, or the truth, which can only be found reliably in court. As alleged in our federal complaint, and further supported by the sworn declarations and documentary evidence now filed with the court, the board defendants, led by Chairman Rob Dawson, engineered a plan to seize control of Intrepid's assets for their own benefit through threats, coercion, deception, and unlawful self-dealing with zero regard for the company they destroyed and the human lives damaged by their illegal conduct. He reiterated that he has received texts and emails. Ultimately, my 2 cents, for what it's worth, is that I don't believe either of them until the court points to something and says, "That's correct." One side is a random person who said a bunch of numbers, while the other side fumbled the game and threw 195 pages of text and emails. And I'm not crazy enough to go over all of that. Also, let's look at it this way. From my basic legal understanding, it's illegal to show up to court with false evidence, which is why I'm leaving this to the professionals. At the end of the day, I'm just a clown on the internet that likes to talk to himself in front of a mic. And on that note, that'll be all for this week. Tune in next week for more Old Man Rages at the News.